I wanted to spend a few minutes today talking about how we respond to failure, how we respond when things don't go our way. And I think we've just had a couple of good examples that I'll bring in from the public square. And Joe Biden was just sworn in as our president a couple days ago. And there's a pretty big groundswell from the Trump camp that this election was stolen via voter fraud or voter machines. There's all kinds of accusations that came out from that. And this really, in my opinion, wasn't much different than what happened 4 years ago when Hillary Clinton lost. And one of the charges that came out from that was the election was stolen because of the Russians. Now, I'm not really here to talk about either of those or the legitimacy of either of those claims. I will leave that to bigger minds to figure out. But what I do want to talk about is what happens when you fail. What happens? What's your response when things don't go your way? Oftentimes, our initial reaction is to point the finger, to blame someone else, to blame something outside of ourselves. And I just want to say that this is not a good path forward. Now, when something bad happens to you or something negative happens in your life, it's natural to have an emotional reaction, to get angry, to get frustrated, to be sad, maybe even to ask questions about other people or why did this happen. Those are all normal, reactions. So, but after you ride that wave of emotion and things settle down, what is the mature path forward? Maybe you're looking at a relational breakup. Maybe maybe your boyfriend or girlfriend broke up with you. Maybe you got a bad grade on a test. Maybe you got critiqued at work. Whatever the case is, how do you respond to that? And I want to say that the mature thing to do in those moments, before you look anywhere else, is to hold the mirror up, to look inward, is to take responsibility. And, any expert worth their salt is going to tell you this. Jocko Willink is a leadership expert, former Navy SEAL, written a couple books. He's written a book called Extreme Ownership. And the basic premise of that book is if something goes wrong, you can blame 1,000 other people, but who do you need to look at first? Yourself. Take responsibility. John and Julie Gottman are, relationship experts. They are pioneers in the field of marriage research, and they've identified one of the key things that really destroys marriage is when one spouse has a critique for the other spouse gets defensive. That is not a good path. What's the antidote to that? What's the antidote to defensiveness? It's to take responsibility. That's what they say. If you want a healthy marriage, what you need to do is take responsibility. And we see this in Matthew 7, the Sermon on the Mount. Here's what Jesus says. He says, chapter 7, verse 3, "Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, 'Let me take the speck out of your eye,' when there is a log in your own eye?" It's the same principle. Take responsibility. If you want to grow as a person, if you want to mature, the best way to do that is when something bad happens is to take responsibility. Now, that doesn't mean you can't look outward. I love this passage in Matthew 7. So here's what it says after it talks about the log and the speck. It says, "You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye." So what's it saying? There may be plenty of blame to go around. You may need to look outward, but what's it saying? What do you do first? Look at your own life first. Notice your own log first. And once you've done that, what does it say? Then you can see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. Then you can see clearly to talk about how your boss may have missed this negative, he was off base on his negative comment on your review. Maybe your professor did treat you unfairly in your grade. Maybe your spouse or your partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, maybe they really were in the wrong in this situation. That's going to go a lot better if you've done the hard work of looking inward. It is hard work. It's not easy. Sometimes you're not going to like what you find. So you're going to have to do that when you're in a good place. You're going to have to give yourself grace. But that is the right path forward for you personally, and for the people around you. So I hope this was helpful. Not an easy video today, but again, if you've got relationship expert and former Navy SEAL and the Bible all saying the same thing, that's something we need to pay attention to. So out for now, and we'll see y'all next time.